Mr. Faizan was a very rich businessman. He lived in a big house in the city. People knew him as a powerful and successful man. But inside, Faizan's heart was full of pain. He had once loved a woman deeply. She was his fiancée. They were going to marry soon. But everything changed when she betrayed him. She left him for another man. She broke Faizan's heart completely. Faizan could not forget the pain she caused. Every day he thought about how she had cheated on him. He felt angry and hurt. His friends told him to forget her and move on. But Faizan could not. He wanted revenge. He wanted to show everyone that he was not weak. Most of all, he wanted to hurt the woman who had betrayed him. Faizan spent many nights thinking about his plan. How could he get back at her? Then one day an idea came to his mind. It was a strange and cruel plan, but it made sense to him. He would marry a poor, ugly maid, someone no one cared about, someone who could help him hurt his ex-fiancée. In the poor part of the city lived a young woman named Zoya. She worked as a maid in many homes. She was kind and hard-working, but many people called her ugly because she did not look like rich or famous women. Zoya never cared what others said. She worked every day to help her family. Life was very hard for her. One day, Faizan's assistant told him about Zoya. "She is poor and simple," the assistant said. "No one will notice her. She can be your tool." Faizan smiled coldly. This was exactly what he wanted. He decided to meet Zoya. When Faizan first saw Zoya, he was not impressed by her looks. But he did not care. For him, she was only a part of his revenge. Faizan invited her to his office. Zoya was surprised and scared. She had never met such a rich man before. Faizan spoke to her politely but with a strange coldness. "Zoya," Faizan said, "I want to marry you." Zoya's eyes opened wide in shock. "Marry me? Why would you want to marry me, sir?" she asked nervously. Faizan smiled slightly. "It's a business decision. You will help me with something important." He did not explain more. Zoya thought for a moment. She needed a better life. Maybe this was her chance. So, she agreed. News about the engagement spread quickly. Many people laughed and talked. "Why would a rich man marry such an ugly maid?" they asked. Faizan did not care about their words. He was focused on his plan. As the wedding day came closer, Faizan's feelings were mixed. On one side, he was still full of anger and pain. But on the other, a small part of him was curious about Zoya. What kind of person was she? Could she change his life? Zoya, too, was nervous. She did not understand Faizan's coldness or his true reasons. She only hoped that this marriage would bring her happiness and respect. On the night before the wedding, Faizan sat alone in his big room. He looked out the window at the city lights. His mind was busy with thoughts. He remembered his ex-fiancée's smile and the betrayal. But now he also thought about Zoya's gentle eyes and quiet strength. Faizan felt fear. What if his plan did not work? What if this marriage changed something inside him? He pushed these thoughts away. He needed to stay strong. The next day, the wedding started with great noise and celebration. But behind the smiles, Faizan kept his secret. He was not ready to show his true feelings. As the sun set, Faizan thought about the wedding night. This was the moment when everything could change. He was ready for revenge, but he did not know what fate had planned for him. In his heart, a new plan was already forming, a plan that would surprise everyone. The wedding day arrived. The whole house was decorated with flowers and lights. Guests from rich families came to see the big event. Everyone was curious about this unusual marriage, a billionaire marrying a poor maid. Zoya wore a simple white dress. She looked nervous, but hopeful. She wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, her life was about to change for the better. She smiled politely at the guests, but her heart was pounding fast. Faizan stood at the altar, dressed in an expensive suit. His face was calm, but inside, he was full of mixed feelings. He hated this marriage, but he kept his anger hidden. To him, This was just the first step in his plan to get revenge. As the ceremony began, Faizan's eyes rarely looked at Zoya. He thought about his ex-fiancée and how this marriage would hurt her pride. The priest spoke softly, but Faizan's mind was elsewhere. When it was time to say "I do," Faizan's voice was low and cold. Zoya repeated after him, her voice shaking. They were officially married. The crowd clapped and cheered, but Zoya felt a chill in her heart. After the wedding, the guests left. The big house became quiet. Zoya followed Faizan to their new home inside the mansion. The house was huge and cold. Zoya felt small and lost in this new world. Faizan did not say much. He was busy planning what to do next. He wanted to keep Zoya at a distance to remind her she was just a tool for his revenge. But as the evening went on, Faizan noticed something different about Zoya. She was kind and patient, even when he was cold and distant. She did not complain or ask for anything. She just stayed quiet, helping around the house. Faizan was surprised. No one had ever been so calm with him. Even his old friends had stopped talking to him after his heartbreak. As the night grew darker, Faizan sat in his study, thinking deeply. What was this strange feeling in his chest? Was it pity or something else? He decided to watch Zoya secretly. He saw her helping the servants, fixing things and caring for the house. She was not ugly in his eyes anymore. She was strong and brave. Suddenly the door opened. Zoya came in quietly. She said, "Mr. Faizan, is there anything you want me to do?" Faizan looked at her and said sharply, "No, just rest. Tomorrow will be a busy day." Zoya nodded and left the room. Faizan sat back in his chair. He thought, maybe this marriage will be different, but I must not forget my plan. The night passed slowly. Both felt alone, but for very different reasons. The next morning, Faizan woke up early. He wanted to keep control. He planned to introduce Zoya to his friends and business partners. He wanted to embarrass her in front of them. Zoya got ready quietly. She put on a simple dress but kept her head high. She wanted to prove she was more than just an ugly maid. When they met the guests, Faizan started to show his cold side. He made little jokes about Zoya's background. The guests laughed. Zoya smiled, but inside her heart broke. But then something strange happened. One of Faizan's old friends, Mr. Ahmed, noticed Zoya's calm and kind nature. He quietly told Faizan, "She may be poor, but she has a good heart. Don't judge her by looks." Faizan felt a sting. He wanted to believe that Zoya was nothing, but deep inside he was beginning to see her as a real person. As the day went on, Faizan's anger began to fade. But his secret plan was still alive. He told himself, "Tomorrow I will start the real game. Zoya will regret marrying me." But in his heart, a small voice whispered, "What if I am wrong about her?" The story was only just beginning. The next few days passed slowly in the big mansion. Faizan kept his distance from Zoya. He treated her like a stranger. He spoke little and gave her no warm smiles. But Zoya did not lose hope. She believed everyone had a good side inside. One rainy afternoon, Faizan was working late in his office. The storm outside made the house feel cold and lonely. Suddenly the lights went out. The whole mansion was dark. Faizan frowned. He was about to call someone for help when he heard a soft voice behind him. "Don't worry, sir. I will find some candles." It was Zoya. She held a small box of candles. Faizan was surprised. No one had ever cared for him like this before. Together they lit the candles. The soft light made the room warm and peaceful. For the first time, Faizan looked at Zoya without anger. He saw her kind eyes and gentle smile. "Thank you," Faizan said quietly. "You didn't have to do this." Zoya smiled softly. "I want to help, sir. This is your home now." Faizan was silent. Something inside him began to change. He felt a strange warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. That night, Faizan couldn't sleep. He thought about his revenge plan, but also about Zoya's kindness. He wondered, why do I feel this way? Why does she make me feel calm? Meanwhile, Zoya prayed silently in her room. She asked God to give Faizan peace and happiness. She wanted him to heal from his pain. Days went by, and Faizan's coldness slowly started to melt. He found himself watching Zoya when she thought he was not looking. He noticed how she treated everyone in the house with respect and love. One morning, Faizan woke up to find Zoya making breakfast for him. She quietly placed the food on the table and smiled. "Good morning, sir," she said softly. Faizan sat down and smiled back, a small but genuine smile. It surprised them both. Just then, the phone rang. It was Faizan's lawyer with some important news about his ex-fiancée. The news was shocking. It seemed his ex was in trouble and needed his help. Faizan was torn. His plan for revenge was now difficult. He didn't want to help his ex, but he also didn't want more pain. He looked at Zoya. She was waiting silently. He realized he needed someone by his side, not just for revenge, but for support. That evening, Faizan told Zoya about the news. She listened carefully and said, "You have to do what your heart tells you, sir." Faizan felt a little comfort from her words. He was slowly learning that Zoya was not just a maid or a tool for revenge. She was becoming someone important in his life. The story was reaching a new turning point. What would Faizan do? Would he still seek revenge or start a new path with Zoya? The answer was still hidden, waiting for the next chapter. Days passed, and Faizan's feelings grew more confused. He had planned revenge, but Zoya's kindness was changing him. She was no longer just the ugly maid in his eyes. She was someone who cared deeply, even when no one else did. One afternoon, Faizan found Zoya in the garden. She was sitting quietly, looking sad. Curious, he walked closer and asked, "Zoya, why do you look so troubled?" Zoya looked up, her eyes filled with tears. "Sir, there is something I have never told you." Faizan sat beside her, waiting patiently. "I come from a poor family," she began. "I lost my parents when I was young. Since then, I have worked hard to survive. People called me ugly and worthless, but I never gave up." Faizan listened quietly. He felt a strange pain in his heart. "But there is more," Zoya continued. "I have a secret. I am not just a maid. I am here to protect something very important." Faizan's eyes widened in surprise. "What do you mean?" Zoya took a deep breath. "Your family is in danger, sir. There are people who want to hurt you and take everything away." Faizan felt a cold shiver. He had no idea. Zoya said, "I was sent by someone you trust to watch over you and keep you safe." Faizan looked at her, shocked and confused. His mind raced with questions. Who could he trust? Was his plan for revenge in danger? And what did Zoya really want? That night, Faizan could not sleep. Zoya's words kept echoing in his mind. Was this maid really just a simple woman? Or was there something more behind her quiet smile? Meanwhile, Zoya prayed silently, hoping Faizan would believe her and accept her help. The story was becoming deeper and more mysterious. The audience would wonder, who wants to harm Faizan, and will he accept Zoya's secret? That night, Faizan could not stop thinking about Zoya's secret. His heart was heavy with doubt and curiosity. Was this woman really here to protect him? Or was this all part of a trick? Suddenly there was a loud noise outside the house. Faizan woke up and saw shadows moving near the gate. His body tensed with fear. Zoya was already awake. She whispered, "They have come, sir, the people who want to hurt you." Without wasting time, Zoya grabbed Faizan's hand and led him to a hidden room behind the library, a place Faizan had never known existed. "This room is safe," Zoya said calmly. "We must stay here until they leave." Faizan watched as Zoya locked the heavy door and checked the windows. She was strong, brave, and calm. The sound of footsteps grew closer. Faizan's heart beat faster. He looked at Zoya and saw determination in her eyes. Suddenly, the door shook. "Someone was trying to break in," Faizan whispered. "Who are they? Why do they want to hurt me?" Zoya looked serious. "I don't know yet, but I will find out, and I will protect you no matter what." The door suddenly gave way. Shadows entered the room, but before they could do anything, Zoya pressed a hidden button. The room filled with a bright light, and a loud alarm started ringing. The intruders froze, then fled quickly. Faizan looked at Zoya in shock. "How did you do that? Where did you learn all this?" Zoya smiled sadly. "There is much you don't know about me, sir, but I promise I am here to keep you safe." Faizan realized his plan for revenge was changing. This woman, whom he thought was weak and ugly, was actually his strongest ally. As dawn approached, Faizan felt something new. Hope. Maybe this marriage was not just revenge. Maybe it was the start of something real. The next morning, Faizan could not stop thinking about the night before. Zoya had saved him from danger, but he still did not know her real story. He decided to ask her quietly, "Zoya, why did you help me? Who are you really?" Zoya looked down and took a deep breath. "There is something I have kept hidden for a long time, sir." She began to tell her story. "I was not always a maid. I come from a family that was ruined by people close to your world. I lost everything, my home, my family. I had to hide and start over." Faizan listened carefully, surprised by her words. Zoya's voice was calm but full of pain. "I came here to work and live quietly, but when I saw you, I felt something. I could not let anyone hurt you. Maybe because your pain reminds me of my own." Faizan's heart softened. He realized how wrong he had been to judge her by her looks or job. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. It was a messenger with a letter for Faizan. He opened it and read. The letter warned him that the people who attacked last night were planning something bigger. They wanted to ruin him completely. Faizan looked at Zoya, feeling grateful. "I think I need you more than ever." Zoya smiled gently. "And I will stand by you no matter what." Faizan felt a strange warmth in his heart. He knew their journey was only beginning, and together they could face any storm. The days passed and Faizan and Zoya grew closer. The anger and bitterness in Faizan's heart started to fade. One evening, Faizan called Zoya to his study. "There is something I must tell you," he said seriously. Faizan showed Zoya a photo from his past. It was the woman who had betrayed him, his ex-fiancée. Zoya's eyes widened. "I know her," she said softly. "She was part of the people who ruined my family, too." Faizan was shocked. "You never told me?" Zoya nodded. "I wanted to protect you. But now we can fight together." Together they planned to expose the truth. The next day, Faizan called a meeting with his trusted friends. With Zoya's help, they gathered proof against the people who had tried to destroy them both. In a powerful moment, Faizan announced publicly that he had forgiven the past. But justice would be served. Zoya stood by his side, no longer just a maid, but his partner. The story ended with Faizan and Zoya stronger together, proving that true strength comes from trust and love, not revenge.